Some people have an entire bucket full. Some people only have 1 or 2 sets. There are some who are incredibly superstitious and some people that just don't care. Today, we're going to talk about D&D dice and we're going to talk about rolling stats in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Hello and welcome to Dungeon Guides. My name's Carter, and on this channel we are breaking down Dungeons & Dragons for the new players and for those who want to get a little bit of a refresher. So if you like this kind of video, don't forget to give us a like and a subscription and a bell push to get all the notifications and all that kind of jazz. And let's get started. You can't play D&D without dice. It gives the real world unpredictability that comes with a full-scale adventure. The dice themselves are arranged into a group of 7 different types. The first one is a D4. Now, you've got to be really careful about these things because they really hurt when you stand on them. The D4 is called a D4 because it is a die with 4 faces. And this applies to the entire range. The next one is a D6. These are your really common gaming dice. So if ever you've got board games for yourself or the children, they're going to have some of these D6s. Then you've got your D8s. Now your D8s, they're kind of diamond shaped. You will learn the shapes of these and you'll be able to pick them out as you go. But these ones are diamond shaped and these are primarily used for spell and weapon attacks. Then you've got your D10. Now there should be 2 of these. There should be one which is labelled 1 to 0, and there should be another which is labelled 10 to 90. Using these dice together, if you roll them both at the same time, you get what's called a percentile. It turns the 2 dice into a D100. This is not always needed, but there are times when a D100 is going to be used, such as loot tables, which are so much fun it's unreal. Then you have a D12. Now, D12s look like the classic English football, or at least that's how I describe it to people. They are usually used for high-end weapons and the attacks that they do, or the damage that they do. And after this, you have the all-important D20. This is the whole mechanism. These D20s will be everything to you. These ones are the lucky ones and the unlucky ones. Now, the D20s are used for every single check, including combat, hitting things, maybe trying to talk your way out of things, spells, sneaking. Every single check and every single skill involved is used with the D20. So maybe you're trying to sneak through a street which is in an area that you know that there are bad guys. Your DM may ask you for a stealth check. Now, what you would do is roll your D20 and then you would simply add your bonuses that we spoke about in the last video. So again, you might be proficient, so you add your proficiency bonus. You might not be. Either way, the higher the number, the better. There are also a couple of other mechanics which are involved with the D20. You may hear the term advantage in this case, in which case you roll 2 D20 and you take the higher number. Then there is disadvantage, which is the exact opposite. You roll 2 D20 and you take the lower number. This is to show that something's slightly more difficult in a natural terrain. For example, when you're trying to shoot someone from afar and they're hiding behind something, it's going to be far more difficult to hit them. So it gives that extra element of chance to be a lower number, so therefore less likely to hit. So the really fun thing is that a lot of people will start buying more dice than they need. You're going to find people who have 8 or 9 sets, maybe. I myself have about 6 sets that I use. But there's only a couple of the D20s that I like because they're good to me. Now, it's really crazy, but you do get this weird sort of superstition that comes through with this. Some people go as far as to do roll-offs before each session to make sure that the dice that are giving the best numbers are only used in that game. It goes all kinds of crazy. Now, Normally these dice are made of acrylic or resin. You can buy these from all sorts of places. Amazon sell them, and pretty much every friendly local gaming store will sell them as well. But you can get some really fun speciality dice. I know people who've got metal dice, some made of aluminium. And if you really want to spend the money, if you have the money to burn, you can buy dice made of amethyst or diamond or elephant tusk or whatever you desire. But at the end of the day, they are just a random number generator between 1 and 20. You don't have to buy dice. That's the other cool thing. You don't have to buy dice because there are plenty of apps on both Android and iOS which do the rolling for you. Even, in fact, Chrome itself, you can type into Google roll D20 and it will come up with a result. If you're not playing in person, then you don't need to actually buy dice. A lot of the systems online, such as Roll20, have inbuilt dice rollers for you. I use those when I am playing online, but normally I like to play in person and with actual dice. So, I wanted also to go through stat generation with you. In the last video, I spoke about core stats and what they do. Well, when you start character creation in Dungeons and Dragons, one of the things that you need to do is generate stats. Now, there are 3 main ways of doing this. The first way is what's called rolling for stats. So what you do is you take 4d6, you roll them on the table, you take away the lowest number, add the rest up, that will give you one of your stats. You do this as many times as you need to cover all of your stats, and then you can put the highest numbers wherever you need them. The second method is what's known as standard array. Standard array is a set of stats that's already been generated. It's fairly commonly used across the board. Most DMs who don't want to have to deal with some people who roll ridiculously high or incredibly low for their statistics would use standard array so that everyone gets the same numbers. But again, you can put them into the right slots for yourself. So again, if you're playing an orc and you want to hit things, you can put the highest number into your strength slot. I will actually put the standard array digits in the description below. And then finally, there's a system called point buy. Now, point buy is, you would normally see these in things like video games, like Fallout, for example. You start off with a scores of 8 all the way down the line, which is just below average. And then you would buy extra points to put into those stats. Each number you buy costs more. So you start off with 27 points that you can use to buy these extra stats. However, a +1 costs 1, a +2 costs 2, and it goes on like that. If you wanted an 18 in strength, that'd be absolutely fine, but you would then have less points to put everywhere else. This is important because when you're putting your character together and you're putting your stats in places, you need to know what stat you're going to dump or give the lowest number to and play to that if you're going to do heavy roleplay. So an example would be a wizard who is very intelligent, studies everything in books, that's how they got the magic. So you can put intelligence as your highest number, but your lowest number might be strength because they're not the heavy lifters. And so you can roleplay that in there, but you also have to be aware of that when you are asked to do things like saving throws or lifting rocks or whatever. You can stand back and say, I'm sorry, I'm not the person to do that. I've rambled on long enough. I hope you've liked this video and I really, really hope you found it useful. If you have, drop me a comment and we'll have a bit of a chat about it if you like. But do remember to give me a thumbs up and a subscribe and then the bell button and all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.